Welcome to the Speedway Show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, David, Essendon Ford been huge supporters of Australian Speedway, Victorian Speedway principally. What got David Dickson behind Speedway?
Many years ago, my grandfather was a founding member of the Premier Speedway, and I used to go as a young fella with my granddad. Then I went with my uncle and really got involved in it, and just have a love of the sport. Yeah, it's been great.
Yeah. So, have you ever sat behind the wheel of a car?
I have, but I don't want to go down that track. I had a couple of laps at Redline in a mini modified, but it wasn't that successful. So I haven't had to drive a sprint car yet. No.
Yeah. So, Essendon Ford, you're right behind the Avalon series. You're right behind this car. You're very heavily and very committed to the sport. Is your family involved?
My young son, he's 14, coming up 15. He's biting at the bit to get in and drive the car at some stage. We're in the process of building him a car at the moment. Obviously, Ian's our resident driver at the moment, and will be, till it ends, I guess. But my wife supports us. My older son supports it. We're all involved.
So your young son, the guy who's looking, the young fellow that's looking to jump into the seat of the car, what's his name?
His name's Jacob, and he's really excited about it. When I woke him yesterday morning, I said to him, "One more sleep," and he said, "One more sleep till we go racing, Dad." Took a bit of precedence over Christmas, which was quite ironic.
Yeah. So the business, Essendon Ford, you've been supporting other cars. What do you see Speedway offering Essendon Ford?
Oh, it gives us great exposure, and the thing about Speedway, and I think we're seeing it with the unfortunate position that young Liam Farr's in, it's a very close community, and we all race each other, and we all bang wheels, and we all do that, but we all support each other at the end of the day. And the punters that come and sit out in the grandstands and sit out in the fences and bring their chairs, the amount of people that come into my dealerships and buy cars is phenomenal. I really don't want to tell anybody about it because I don't want anybody else getting onto it. But we are very well supported. We would have sold in excess of probably 300 cars into the Speedway community all over Australia.
300 cars through Speedway. Now that's a figure I would never ever have considered.
Nobody would. And it's not something that I go out and advertise and everything else, but I have a firm belief that you should give back. The sport's very good to me, so I give back to the sport, whether it's through sponsoring our own car and all the series, or bringing. We've been involved in bringing Kevin Swindell out twice. We're involved in the Jack Hordenchild deal 2 years ago, which was one of the great achievements in my Speedway life, because that was a guy that I watched race and race very hard. So to be involved in bringing Jack was incredible. But it's also, young Carly Walsh running around the wingless car, being able to help the Walsh family. They're great Speedway people, and if we can offer them a little bit of help, the amazing thing is, apart from this deal, we don't actually spend a real lot of money. We recycle, and instead of me selling off a tyre for $50, I'll go and give it to somebody to run. So it makes their racing a little bit more affordable. But at the end of the day, we get a return. People are coming and supporting the dealerships, not just by buying a car, but also by getting their car serviced and buying parts off us. So it's great. It's a great sport.
So your investment in the sport is known, it's known to be significant, and that gives you a seat at the table. So let's talk about Speedway. What would you like to see for Speedway in the future?
Oh, geez, that's a good question, I guess. I think what the Sydney promotion's been doing has been very good. I don't know if you need to go to that level of what they've done. We've been going up there and running with 70 cars plus. But I think what Barry and Felicity Waldron are doing is just lifting the profile of the sport. They had some really good TV stuff going last year. For me personally, I can sit at home, the truck and trailer can go to Sydney on a Saturday night. I can sit down and watch it in my lounge room because of other family commitments. We can't go every weekend. So I'd just like to see that sort of stuff probably progressing down here. I think the Drews do a fantastic job here at Avalon. They've just taken full control of the place. I think tonight there's 40 cars. We don't run a show now really with under 40 cars, so the sport is very healthy. I think what we did 8 years ago when we first brought the Ford Fiesta in, I think that probably did more for the sport than what we realised at the time, and Jeff and I often speak about that. So we're up to our 8th car this year, and I know that the guys like Murcott, McFadden, those guys have outrightly said to me, we've come here to win the car. So if we can bring those guys, we're then obviously going to bring better people into the race into the meetings to support them.
So that's something positive for the future. What would you like to see the sport let go of?
Oh, I don't have any real concerns about it. The expenses are out of control, but that's our fault. That's the owner's fault, the driver's fault. You know, we're all bolting on a brand new tyre for heat races. We all want more horsepower, so we're paying up to $80,000 for a motor. We run a motor program with 3 motors in it. I think we've got 7 cars, so I think the expense of it and the amount of level of equipment needs to come back, but we're the ones that are pushing it anyway. But I think it makes it harder for a budget team to come along and race. But the good thing in this sport is a budget team can come along and race and have success. We've seen that with Jordan Charge in the 360 title. What better can we have for the sport than a young kid like that come out and win a 360 title, win any race for that matter, on a relatively low budget.
So we've got a nice looking car here. We've got a nice looking truck. Where do you do the work on the car?
I've got a shop out at Moorlap. I live in Geelong. My businesses are based in Essendon, obviously, but my workshop and cars are kept out at Moorlap. So we have a full-time crew chief on the car. That's his job, is to prepare the cars, the truck, the trailer. So that's another big commitment too, to have that guy there. That's a real benefit of having a business the size that we have, where we can absorb a crew chief.
We talk in Speedway about sponsors, and we recognise sponsors, and clearly this is a business that you maintain. At the risk of being inflammatory, there's not a lot of big sponsors on the wings of cars. What do we need to do to bring in those big sponsors to actually offset some of the money?
We have to have things like this. We have to have exposure. We have to be able to. We live in a society where it's real time. So if there is a result, you need to get that out into the marketplace. More importantly, though, you need to get sponsors, then look after them. Because I've seen 1 million sponsors come through this sport, and they come, they go, because they're not looked after. So you've got to take your time, work a little bit harder, and you'll attract those sponsors. I follow James McFadden very closely and the whole Monty deal, and to see what they do with Milwaukee, and they do it from the West Coast, but predominantly do it on the East Coast, and they do that so well. They do that better than anybody else. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of companies like Milwaukee getting around, or not a lot of companies like Essendon Ford getting around. A lot of guys are self-funded. They might have a sticker on their car, but trust me, they're self-funding.
Yeah. So the lessons that you've learnt, if other people within sprint car racing, or more broadly across the sport, wanted to perhaps benefit from some of the school of hard knocks, what would be your guidance to those people?
Get people and look after them, from your driver, your crew, to your sponsors, to your family, because it's a very, very selfish sport. The one thing I've done is work very, very hard on making sure that my family don't miss out because of what we're doing. So we try and travel together, we try and enjoy the success together, and we take the heartbreak together. And trust me, there's some highs and some lows, but that's part of what we do.
Yeah. David, that's fabulous. It's great to meet David Dickson. The sport knows of David Dickson, and I just hope that the sport, perhaps we've all got a bit of an insight into this man who just loves his Speedway. David, thanks for chatting to the Speedway Show.
Thank you very much. All the best.